Just pull on my agenda here. I'll call this meeting to order at 6:02. We have a quorum present. And we'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we do our rest of our meeting, I just want to introduce everyone to our new school board representative, Sophia Taylor. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick? Who you are, what grade?
Yeah, my name's Sophia Taylor. I'm a junior. I'm at SCOMA. I'm trying to be more part of the community. Figured I'd join and learn some stuff.
All right.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, so, basically, we can get into it more later, but like for next meeting, but we'll give you a topic on the agenda, just a student representative report, and it's pretty much free from whatever you want to tell us,
Okay.
and keep us up to date with how things are going for students, whatever, So it really is varied based on what the student rep is and what they're involved in, and feel free to just ask. And I know you're in student government, so you have a good pulse on other things, so welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll start with our minutes. Public and non-public from 9:13.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes, public and non-public of September 13th.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Catherine seconds. I just wanted, before I say anything else, Bruce was absence was excused. He's unfortunately under the weather. Just write that note. Anything else on there, anybody? Oh, I know what it was. In policy work, IHBD, first reading, programs for gifted and talented students. It does say we sent it at EIC, but then we withdrew the motion for first reading. So.
Tim, could you tell me the...
Oh, sorry.
Give me a little more.
Yeah, sorry. Page, it is line 11, page 5.
Okay, so that's just a change in the motion?
No, there was a withdrawal. Yeah, withdrawal of motion after it says board decided to send this policy to EIC. Motion to approve IHBB withdrawn or something like that, I guess.
Because we have on line 22, vote to approve IJOC.
Yeah, that way it just kind of tells what about it. So
Yeah.
very small. Anything else, anybody? Non-public as well? All look good?
Yeah, it says line 50, it says the board decided to send this policy to EIC. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Thanks, Helen.
Just say withdrawing the motion to approve the
Okay.
policy,
Yeah.
that's all. Non-public. Sound fine. All right. Anything else on these?
No.
All right. Call roll. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, public and non-public from 9:13:22, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? And abstentions. All right. Oh, Bruce abstains. Thank you. All right. Public comment. Hi.
Hi.
Anything to say?
No,
No. Welcome.
thank you.
All right. Start with our continuing business. Moving right along here. We have our Educational Issues Committee. We met on the 15th. And let me just pull up my minutes here. There we go. So we had a really nice report from Angel. Gave us a huge summary of what they did over the summer with all the grant money that they got. And it's attached on the minutes. You can see her presentations. There were 2 different ones there. So they shared those updates. They shared an update from the scheduling committee, and you can see that right after the minutes as well. I was not able to join them for their visit last week, unfortunately. Talked about their college fair, and they have a mini college fair last week, or a week before, and I guess that went well. Talked a little bit about the Alternative Pathways Coordinator. Bernadette Virgin is starting to take over that, and how we can get kids set up with HiSET, ELOs, VLACs, and stuff like that. Talked about senior seminar, so that's exciting, that's getting started. So yeah, Angel gave us an update on professional development curriculum work, the Math Institute, summer learning, the library, what they did over the summer. Talking about digital portfolios, talking about different conferences they went to, social emotional learning, and then different stuff the professional development committee did. And yeah, and then we just had some chats at the end, just talking about, making sure buses have Wi-Fi, or there's a Wi-Fi that goes with sports teams, so when kids are sitting there idle, they can work on their homework, so when they get home from a game at 10:30 at night, they don't have another 2 hours of homework. We want to support our students, so. And then talking about paper shortage and Google Classroom with being more digital, and stuff like that, so. Goodness,
No,
No?
thank you.
any questions on that?
So the Royals report
Mhm.
was from Tina?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that online?
Yes, you can
can't
access
really
it
read
right on-
this.
It's right on the
that,
website.
I think they should just, I think just printed the whole webpage.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so that's, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh,
it's right on the website.
It is, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
You
and
just
I'm
have to
like,
select the high school, and then you should be able to get to it from
Yeah,
there.
because I'm like, okay. Here it is. So, great, I will look at it there, which is where I should.
Yeah. Normally she puts a link, but maybe not. So yeah, she talked about the summer grants and stuff like that. So.
That looks great.
And then scheduling is on its way and it's moving. And they went and visited John Stark last week to go take a look at their schedule. So they're doing all the research and all that fun stuff. So, any questions? Any other questions? All right. Coming up next here. Budget committee, 9/19. So it was our organizational hope. You're a representative. You can do this part.
Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
It was the organizational meeting, which means they didn't discuss any particular budget items for any of the schools or administration. So we basically went over the schedules. There was a lot of discussion about, there were some new people on the committee, a couple of people, I think.
One person and one.
One second-year person, right? And kind of, me too. So so there was some discussion about what a committee member role is, and the difference between what we can and cannot do in the budget committee. And these minutes cover it really nicely in terms of what was discussed. And the only thing is, I noticed that there is a little mistake in it, but I would take care of that there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I saw the same thing.
Okay. Amanda went over some basics, in terms of what the budget might look like for next year in terms of priorities. There's going to be negotiation, obviously, on the teacher contract, and we're looking at, maybe looking at the sped budget a little bit more with a fine-tooth comb, and options for extracurricular activities, and more programming and curriculum support. So I think those were what Amanda, so that was nice to hear, Amanda's priorities. And the next meeting is October 3rd, next Monday at 6 o'clock. And the schedule has been changed a little bit this year, where we're combining, which is really great. So there's less meetings, but there's a little bit more meat in each meeting. Yeah, because sometimes they were just, so CES and EBS is next Monday combined. It's a good change. So,
Yeah.
I
So
think it'll be good.
if you want to drop in, anyone on the board is welcome to drop in, obviously, and attend. We're doing the middle school and high school together,
Yeah.
and then we're doing a day with the whole district, the SAU, and special ed together. So
All the rest.
all the rest of them together.
Oh,
So
all of those, okay.
3 big
That'll be
chunky
a
meetings
long one.
of budget. So you want to come have some fun with some budget,
Yeah.
come on down. Oh, it's great. We had good discussions and stuff. So, any questions for Cole? Anything else?
One thing that I just mentioned is that, especially from reading through the minutes of the budget committee, I hope that we are in fact encouraging budget committee members to attend school board meetings if they have additional questions about what, what are the priorities, or what are the things that we're doing, or how does the budget support what the district priorities are.
And just waving at the camera because they said that there's a couple of them that said they watch every one, so
Okay.
that was great. But yeah,
Excellent.
I agree that they're all they're all archived.
And same for us,
Yeah.
and for us to go to,
Yeah, and the
and for
principals
the,
are there to answer that
Correct.
specific question too.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Anything else for that? Any questions? All right.
Is there anything else that we want to do as far as trying to encourage community members? Because we always hear, it's the age-old question, we always hear from people at deliberative session who want to go through line items, and that time has come and gone, and we're starting that process again now. Should we put something out either, I know information is available on our website, but people would need a reason to go there to look up the budget stuff. Should we post on Facebook or
I
send
think
something
Kim
else
was
out?
creating events. I mean, at
Okay,
one point,
great.
we had events for all
Right.
the school board meetings, so
Right.
we want to go back to that. And I want to create events for the budget committee
Okay,
meetings,
perfect.
because I'm tired of people like looking for that information again. So if I
Yeah.
can provide that up front,
Yep.
that's very, very helpful. So yes, both of those will be created as
Great.
events, which I think
As
is
events,
pretty
yeah, recurring.
successful.
Yep, exactly,
And-
recurring events, because then people get notifications when it comes
Yeah.
time for those on the schedule.
Yeah, so I think that's a great way to do it. We talked about that in the budget
Okay,
committee meeting also, because they have that same concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe just a bump on the webpage, just like budget season, info here, something like that.
Great, thank you.
I also mentioned in the meeting that is on our agenda, that was one of our goals,
Yeah.
was to be looking at communication in terms of the budget.
Mhm.
So we could put it on the May now.
Certainly good. I will find out how many people read it, right?
You need a big board out there pretty soon.
Yeah, right? He's talking bigger. He means one of those multicolor ones you see like on South Willow Street, right?
Shows the whole sports.
The whole everything, right?
Yeah.
I love having a
Going on
sports
the whole
ticker.
week, yeah.
Because at least now I can see on the field, if there's a soccer game, I can kind of see the score from up here, so. All right. Superintendent's report.
So you do have my written report in your packet. I do begin by talking about the impact the bus driver shortage is really having on the transportation of our students, both to and from school, and also on our chartered sporting field trip events. We are really coming across some strong issues with that. We've had some bus drivers quit recently, so it's just very worrisome to me that and I appreciate the parents. I know Enfield parents have had to pick up their students from EVS 2, and it's going to be 3 days tomorrow because Butler's is unable to transport in the afternoon. We've been transporting kids. The principal and our sped director, Chris Biso, have been doing 2 runs in our school van to get kids home. So we're doing what we can to help out, but it really is becoming very cumbersome on the district at this point. So the other thing I'm asking for tonight, the Ed 306, which are the minimum standards, that talk about what schools, need to provide for curriculum and resources, et cetera. Those are new, and they are looking for, the Department of Ed is looking to see if people would be willing to host a listening event. I know that Grantham is hosting one, so there is one in our area, but if you all would like us to host one here, you all might be interested in listening. You think maybe that we would have a decent enough attendance rate to host that. We don't have to decide it right now. I can always do it later, but that's something I want to put on your radar. I don't want to move forward with it if we don't think that there would be enough of an attendance rate of people. I don't want to drag the Department of Ed here if we don't think we have a significant number of people that would attend. So I'm up for if you're like, yeah, that's great, or if we want to just think about it and decide next week, I'm okay either way. Okay, maybe next week. So the other thing I'm asking of the board tonight is that after hearing from the budget committee, that the new members, that they don't really have much training, and that is true, right? When new school board members come around, you get trained, right? New Hampshire School Board Association offers training. So we reached out to NHSBA and said, hey, do you have any training for our budget committee members? And they said that they would be welcome to attend the budget webinar that they hold. Because we're members, they would not charge our budget committee. But they want you to approve that before they do that. I think it might be worthwhile if any of the budget committee members wanted to attend that webinar. So I'm looking for your approval to allow that to happen this evening.
I would like to make that motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the budget committee members attending the webinar on September 29th.
A second.
All right, Candace with a second.
For discussion, is it limited to just budget committee members?
No, you all can, you all can attend it
I've done
too.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please just email Martha and she'll register you.
yeah.
It is a little bit more, they do get into more of the state, level funding.
Sure.
Kind of like, what the difference between the SWEPT,
Yep.
So it's basics.
But it's very helpful, because then
But
you
it's
know,
very
because otherwise you
helpful,
go
yeah.
into a budget, you're like, I'm gonna do this, well, no, the state does that,
Exactly,
so, yeah, that helps a
So
lot.
it gets into a lot of those mechanics too. but-
Kathleen, do you want to attend it? I can have Martha, let me know.
I do, but
Okay.
I'll confirm it with you.
Okay. Yep.
Okay,
Through Martha, okay?
Perfect.
yeah, and I mean, anything the budget committee wants to go to, I don't see why that NHSBA does. I don't see why they shouldn't be able to, so.
Is this at the School Board Association office, or is it webinar?
It's a webinar.
That's
They've switched a lot of their
That's
training to
easy.
webinars now,
Yeah.
which is,
Much easier.
yeah,
Much
for everybody,
easier.
cheaper,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a long drive.
It's a long drive, that's right. Well, if you think we have a long one, at least we're not
Yeah.
cold broke.
Yeah.
In the past, they've also done one around budget communication. I think they have separated that
Hmm.
out
Okay.
this time.
Well, that would be, anything budget related, we'll
Yeah.
send them the information and then they can go. All right. Any other discussion on that? For budget committee members? All right, all those in favor of allowing budget committee members to attend NHSBA training on September 29th, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? And abstentions? All right, cool. And,
I
oh, go
I
ahead.
do have a couple more things here, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead, there,
I just
go ahead.
noticed that Martha will be on vacation next week. What? I know. I let her go once in a while. So that means your packets won't be ready until Monday.
Okay.
So she's on vacation next week. We will post, the meeting is already posted. We will put out the agenda soon. And, she leaves, her last day will be Friday, so we'll get the agenda out and then she'll be gone for the week, but she'll have everything put together and ready on Monday. We do have a paper shortage, so we are looking at cutting down everywhere, including your packets. So if there are any parts of your packets that you don't really want, or hence the Chromebooks, if you wanted to reference some of the things online, just let us know. Anywhere we can cut back is helpful. Paper is very expensive, as is everything in the world these days, and it's hard to get. So we're trying to cut back everywhere, and so I offered us a cutback too.
Mhm.
And the final thing I do want to talk about is I'm very concerned about the speed of traffic coming past, and you probably all have never heard me say that, but I'm concerned about the speed of the traffic coming out of Canaan past the high school in the mornings. To me, we're getting close to an accident. I did let Matt Button know that the other day. I said, you have two choices, Matt. You can either deal with an accident or help us out with someone down there. So there was a cop down there for a couple of days, but I think we have multiple things working against us. We have a different bus schedule, so it's clogging up a little. I often see many, many cars, like a steady stream of traffic at about 7:45 stuck behind a couple of the buses, and I'm talking steady. And then I'm also thinking that the lights at the bridge in Canaan, you, I think, had suggested that, Tim,
What?
work bottle up. the
Yeah,
lights
so
at the
basically
bridge
in the
work.
morning we'll hold about 20 to 30 cars stretching almost to Canaan Elementary, and then it'll release them all. And then you do that 2 or 3 times, and then they get stuck behind a bus, and there you are.
And they're stuck behind the bus, and what's happening is people are so excited when the bus that turns to turn right, that they're really going too quickly. They're exceeding the 25 mile per hour speed limit. They're probably not exceeding 35, but 25 is very slow, and it's very nice, and it's comfortable. You could pull out, you can do a lot of things. So I think it's time for, and I'm looking for direction from the board, whether or not we start to look at a crossing guard, and I know that Sam Frank has turned that down, or we start to look at using Matt Button down there to put his lights on and sit in his car just to help slow traffic down. I know Sam has told us previously that it's very, very dangerous to have a person there, but at this point, the traffic level and the flow, and I usually enjoy that left-hand turn because it makes me feel like I'm driving in Boston, but lately not so much because it's just really, really tight. I feel like visibility is a little bit better with moving the stop line, but I think multiple things, buses, the bottlenecking, as Tim described, are really working against us. So looking for direction on the board of where you would like to go. I know at one point Sam Frank said it would be fine if Matt starts his day at 7:45 down there doing some sort of traffic slowdown.
Influencing.
Influencing, that's a nice word.
Influencing, yeah.
Influencing.
All right. Before I forget, I'm going to come to that, but for the Ed 306 thing that she was talking about, do we just want to wait on that until next board meeting?
I say,
I'm good with doing
good
it,
with it,
if
yeah.
people are in favor of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, my concern would be that we would get people from the Department of Ed here and we would have more people from the Department of Ed than the community.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it could be, if it would be appropriate to tag on to another meeting, whether it's one of our meetings or a budget committee meeting, so that at least there would maybe be kind of already a group that could move from one event to another, or depending on the length of the presentation by the Department of Ed, if it could fit into the presentation slot of this meeting.
Oh, sure. I don't know how long the presentations are. None have occurred so far,
Okay.
so we don't really know what they look like, what the materials are, what the standards are yet.
Are they just gauging interest on who wants to have
So
a
they're
session?
kind of gauging
Okay.
interest on
All right.
The other, or the other idea would be if we know when Grantham is doing it, if we know if they are going to be putting it out there into the interwebs, could we get a live feed or could we help to promote it
Oh, yeah.
so that we could still have our community know how they could attend either in person or online, but not necessarily be beholden to hosting in person and having a mediocre turnout.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hope.
no, so is this something that the teaching community would normally be really interested in? You know, or something that we want to make sure there? I mean, I know it's, we're looking at obviously the community, but also the teaching community.
Sure, we'd certainly promote it.
I mean,
And I would think that most of our audience would potentially come from the teaching community.
you
But I
think
do,
they- well, that's
I
okay.
do think so, and I do, and depending on what night it is, right? What night, when we're competing against whatever sport event,
Right.
whatever
I guess that's what
drama
I'm
event,
thinking, that's what we need
whatever
to keep
band
in
and
mind.
chorus event.
Yeah.
And it may not happen until a time like January or February, which
Right.
would be ideal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be like, if that's what we think, then we would want to know when it works for them too.
Sure, why don't I get some more, if you think you're all tentatively interested, I can tentatively register us
Yeah.
and then get some more information and bring that back for everyone. Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Good. That way I didn't forget that. So, but Route 4 here. So, what's the board's pleasure as to what we want to do? So, we have some options of either looking at hiring a crossing guard or having Officer Buttons down there with his lights going. To start with, those are him with his lights going. I'd say is the cheapest option, the easiest option to start. Because a cop with lights going definitely slows everybody down. Well, so there's that.
The crossing guard that Chief Frank said he would not put his officer out there because it's too dangerous.
That doesn't mean a lot about the intersection.
Yeah, so why would we do that to a crossing guard, so.
Yeah.
The visualization of the lights is a good
Yeah.
deterrent,
Yeah.
without having to put an actual body
Yeah.
in harm's way,
Yeah.
given what we all have experienced seeing
Yeah.
up front.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone else has come across an accident or been right after an accident. It's not pretty. All right, so that's a good start.
What's the length of the time that we're talking about that the
Yeah.
lights and the officer would be present?
The earliest, if I remember correctly, I'll ask if it's possible for 7:30, but I know in the drop-off zone, my kids have been on time to school every day so far. because we're getting there at about 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
7:45, if I'm trying to pull out at 7:45, it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
So we would need someone there by 7:45, but even if it were 7:40, I think it would be better.
Yeah, because all he has to do is pull in and flip his lights, and
Yeah.
he can get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The earlier the better, I think. Yeah. Okay. So I think that sounds like a good start.
Yeah.
If do we want to take a vote on it, or do you just want to?
Nope,
I don't think. Whatever. You got the understanding.
I just needed a discussion to support that. I appreciate that.
Yes, Bruce.
I think you ought to go to Sam Frank and ask him, yeah, put the lights on, but also to speed so darn much to get 2 officers to show up there in the mornings and start writing tickets. Start writing tickets, because if you're going too
Yeah.
damn fast, I mean, you get state police, they have grant money, and Sam can get grant money to cover that when it costs anything.
Yeah. I actually will.
I think that needs to be getting done, because it might slow it down right now, because you put the sign out there with how fast you're going, like they have in Enfield and Canaan, it doesn't do any good. So if you go to Sam, I'll go approach him again. I've been pretty good rapport with him. That I think they go ahead. They don't do it every day, but boy, if they go in there and start
One random day a week.
start one day and they start writing tickets, because on the other side of the bridge and on the other side, then you want to slow them down.
So I have a story about that, because I was coming back from work on Route 4, and I was going by Lebanon Middle School. So you know that Route 4 right by Lebanon Middle School there?
Right.
So you're coming down, and it has the light, or it has the little sign there that says School Zone 30, and the light was flashing because it was about 3:45, and school had gotten out recently, and so I'm behind a car, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to slow down to 30, and the car ahead of me just kept going. Come over the hill, top of the hill, right at that intersection. There's one guy with the neon vest standing in the center. One guy on the right with a neon vest with a radar gun pointed there. The guy in the center is like you, over there, points and directs him off the road. There's a third officer with a neon or yellow vest. He's got 3 cars lined up, and he's just writing them tickets.
Yeah.
Because that car in front of me was going at least 40, 45.
Wow.
And just like zoop, and they're going much faster than 35, I
I
guarantee
mean,
it.
if Sam has to get help from Enfield to
Yeah.
help him out with that,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever, but state police can help out, and
Let's
it's
start.
the same thing happens in Lebanon when they have the seatbelt thing with kids. They'll sit there by 120 as you come off by the interstate and go to Lebanon. They'll be standing right there by the stop sign, checking to see if these kids are buckled in. And, I've seen them before, but I think that's something we need to address. I think that'll stop them.
I'm with you on that. So maybe, I don't know if you can talk, when you're talking to Chief Frank, what he thinks of that, because, I mean, that seems like a pretty easy.
Sure. No problem.
All right, cool. And then we can talk more about, we'll see how that does. We'll see if that does something, and we'll go from there. All right, anything else, Amanda?
That is all I have. I was full of information tonight.
All right. Yeah, any updates from Butler, then please let us know.
Yeah, are there any more bus drivers that are in the queue for training to fill some of these new vacancies? I know that.
There's 2 we're waiting for.
It's waiting for the state?
Yes, we're
Yeah.
waiting for some testing and some other requirements of the state.
Well, thanks to Mr. Bizot and, her name is escaping me right now.
Jamie Winnie.
Yes, Julie, thank you very much for taking care of the kids that way. Seriously, that's a little beyond it. All right, up next, business administrator's report.
Good evening. We do not have a written report, which may or may not be because of the paper shortage.
Sure, we'll go.
The only items on my agenda are also in your new business to discuss the DOE 25 and some energy bids for the upcoming budgeting talks. So that's what we'll get to.
Okay. Any questions for Rob? All right. Cool. All right. On to new business. We have Dorchester School Board candidate appointment. Do we have documentation for that?
We do have a candidate, Vicki Conkey had contacted me and let me know that she was interested. I confirmed her interest with her just recently, and she was going to try to make it today to the meeting. I don't think she did, But that's okay, but she did convey her interest, she knows about the commitment and the time and the requirements of it. I think she had some familiarity with it before.
Okay. Then do you want to table this until we can meet her? Or do we have a letter of interest? or
I do
anything
not
like
have
that?
a letter of interest, she
Okay.
just called me on the
Okay.
phone.
All right, then I guess we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Can't do much with that right now, right?
Yeah, I think without a letter or in person,
Yeah. If,
just to confirm the commitment and interest.
if she can write a quick letter, just to have something.
You need to sit down with the person and go over stuff.
Yeah.
And confirm them before you even appoint somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, unless it's a contested thing, even if it's not contested, like it has been in the past.
Yeah.
You need to do that.
I hear you. Yeah, so yeah, we'll get like, if she can give us a little letter, and then we'll come and we'll chat with her, and I think we'll go from there. All right, NHSBA resolutions. Two things with that. Hope you are able to go on Saturday. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it. The pet band appreciates it too. So actually, on that note, I would like to make a motion to nominate Hope as our delegate to the New Hampshire School Board Association Delegate Assembly.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions?
Thanks, Hope.
Thank you, Hope. All right. So, we have our proposed resolutions that were submitted by other school boards. And I guess we'll just go through them one by one, and we can take a quick vote on each one, just to give Hope the idea, give Hope a guide of what to support, right? Does that sound good? Just a quick.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's like, if I'm just trying to get a pulse on whatever other people want, and then I get there and.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll let you know what I think too, so that's good, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that way you at least kind of have a feeling,
Yes,
because things will change and stuff might get modified.
There's a couple in here, I'm like, we need to talk about.
Yeah. All right, so the first one we have up here,
It was in.
It was in last week's
Ah.
packet, we tabled it.
and we get a copy, yeah, oh, there we go. There you go. There you go.
That's in my volume,
No.
All right, so the first one is the Raymond School Board. They would like to exclude subcommittees and advisory committees for the requirement for a quorum to be physically present in order to hold a meeting. This was something that we found they found during COVID, was that, being able to meet remotely definitely added advantages. So the Board of Directors recommends support with alternative language. Basically putting in the thing that you still notice the meeting and it's still all the rest is regular there. But yeah, all right, any discussion on this one?
I'm okay with this one.
Okay.
So the only difference is that they added committees, subcommittees, and advisory committees, whereas Raymond has just subcommittees and advisory committees. So, does that mean our committee?
You can find out there.
Okay, so that's the kind of thing we discuss when we're there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because people ask questions and like the Raymond people will get up and talk about it, and then, they'll answer questions or whatnot, and people get up and debate it. Just like it's a delegate assembly,
so
really
do
a
you think
debate.
this particular, obviously the subcommittee makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
But does everybody with the school board committee, is that?
Well, the question I have is the definitions and the breakdown of the committees and the subcommittees, and which ones is it actually going to apply? Because I wouldn't like to see a blanket coverage over all of our committees, because we'd never be able to get to meet in some cases.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and if full board business meetings are considered committee meetings or not. I did read that thinking that it included full board.
Yeah, I was thinking it was just like a committee, like we have a committee to go do something.
So
Yeah.
we'll look at that again.
We might call them a subcommittee, but maybe it's a committee in other places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we don't have to do a formal vote. You can see our heads nodding, I guess. So that one. This one on Conval, that's put through by Conval, and it's talking about helping schools comply with federal laws. This is probably in response to New Hampshire passing a law this past year saying they will not cooperate with federal gun laws if federal gun laws counteract or supersede, contradict state gun laws. So. This is saying that, districts should be able to have help from the federal, whatever. Board of Directors recommendation not to support. And they give the rationale in that they already have a resolution that we adopted in 2019 talking about supporting legislation at the federal, state, and local level to protect schools and students from on-campus violence, helping calling upon Congress, the New Hampshire legislature, and local agencies to prioritize collaborative threat assessment, crisis planning, etc. So that's that. Thoughts on that?
I didn't actually read it like that.
Oh, no?
No, because the Hanover School, Dresden or Hanover School Board put one in about the firearms.
Oh,
At the
yeah.
very end, submitted by
Okay.
Dresden School Board. I read this more as that they are saying that each district cannot come up with their own separate
Oh, okay.
risk assessment plan, and it needs to be more like a template, you know, and all the resources to come up with these plans need to be paid for by the state and the, you know, statewide effort, federal, community,
okay.
you know, so to me that was more about, you know, the assessment, the review, the, you know, all, it's, you can't go to each school and ask them each to do that.
Yeah.
So
You're right. No, you're
it's
right. That is more
a
what it's
coordinated
like.
effort. And then they don't support that, why?
Because
But they have a standing resolution. This is one I disagree with them on,
Mm-hmm.
but, because I think that this one is stronger, the one that by the Conval School Board. And I think at this point it needs to be, but, so typically I would usually go with what NHSBA says. But anyways,
Yeah.
that was my take on it.
Yeah. No, you're right. That is.
You're in favor of the
I'm in
Conval.
favor of the Conval one. I think it's stronger, and I think it makes complete sense that it's nuts to have all this responsibility. I mean, it's the same risk, it's the same problems. And I would imagine the superintendents would have a pretty strong feeling on
So
whether.
I would agree with you on this one, Hope. Typically, I'm the same way. I
Right.
would trust the
Right.
NHSBA, but I do like the language, I like the wording, I like what Conval has
Yeah.
put forth here.
Yeah.
It looks very appropriate and very fitting.
Yeah.
And stronger.
I like that they said the threats can come within a district or from around the world.
Exactly.
As we have seen, I don't know if you've been seeing in the news lately, over the last 2 weeks, there's been a number of incidents at schools in Virginia, and they happen in Massachusetts and a bunch of other ones, where schools are getting fake bomb threats called in, and then the SWAT team shows up and starts running through the school, or a bomb threat or a school shooter, and then they will show up and nothing's happening. And so kids are like, what's going on? And they think there's something happening. So yeah, there's been all these things going on lately. So that's not cool. All right.
I didn't come into this with a strong opinion about this either way, but after hearing, I'm happy to go with the, with kind of the assessment you guys have, and so finding out more information during that discussion and dialogue, and if it is as you think, I would support that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I find interesting is they didn't mention anything about having an evaluation or safety plan that's created by Homeland Security, similar to the assistance that we had here, like especially where we've like numbered and identified our buildings and everything. And I think that's part of the uniformity of so emergency personnel can, you know, all be on the same page when stuff happening. So that, you know, that to me makes me feel more confident that we're ahead of the game right now because we've already reached out and gotten that started for us. And I'd like to see all the schools on the same page for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've been proactive on that with our, with numbering in the hallways and stuff, and outside, and,
Cameras, all that stuff.
all that stuff we've been very proactive on, and, other school districts may not have the ability to do that. And are they, Amanda, do you know if they're required to have those, EOPs, or is it just a, here's?
yeah.
Okay, all right, so they have to.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're putting a lot into it, and whether or not they have the resources to like really fine tune it is
Some
another
schools
thing.
just really don't, right? Like,
There's
it's a pretty cumbersome program, and we barely can scrape together staff to fill roles just because of sheer numbers, right? And you're talking about a Dover or an Exeter, Portsmouth, some of the larger school districts, they're able to do it better because they're larger, right? With smaller schools, we have more limited resources, but we still need to.
Every role has to have an alternate.
Exactly.
And it took a while to get, now we have all 4 schools on the same page for all the EOPs. And so that helps a lot. Imagine that type of thing across the state so that someone from like a state trooper could show up and then know what's happening. So, I like that too. All right. Anything else on that one? Okey-doke. Number 3 by Wilton Lindborough. This, I remember they've done this one for 2 or 3 years now, and it's basically talking about, so NHSBA will advise and confirm that all member SAUs are paying and segregating your dues/payments to NHSBA in accordance with RSA 15.5. This has to do with separating your funding, that you can't use state funds for lobbying activities. And technically, New Hampshire School Board Association is a lobbyist group, as all of those types of associations are. And so Wilton would like to see people, school boards, segregating their dues, or segregating what they're using for the dues that does not use state funding. As you can see, NHSBA Board of Directors did not support this. They don't think it should be a resolution, first of all, and then second of all, they give the very detailed explanation here as to why they don't think it should be in there. So there's that. I'm not going to read all that.
But I think that's clear,
Yeah.
you know, that I would not support that.
Not support the resolution?
Yeah, because the RSA is very clear.
It is. It is very clear, and it has to do, you know, segregating your funding and showing that, yes, we don't mix the funds, that's fine. So, and yeah, this is it. As to the final point regarding NHSBA seeing to its members complying with the law, such statement inaccurately suggests the supervisory relationship of NHSBA, a nonprofit association, over elected public bodies. So that's, I think, the crux of it, is they can't tell us, technically they can't tell us what to do because they're not our boss, you know, like our voters are our boss. They can recommend stuff, but they can't, you know, do that. So. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I definitely agree with that.
All right.
Yeah, so,
This one's from Derry Cooperative School District. Talking about food insecurity. Food insecurity happens where school students do not receive enough food on a regular basis. This one calls for NHSBA to support free breakfast and lunch. From state, be it resolved, the state and federal government seeking to provide viable, sustainable, permanent funding to provide a school breakfast and lunch at no cost to students. Their recommendation is not support. They have 18 current statements of belief relative to school funding and 3 continuing resolutions that address school funding. And so they think that all of their matters about school funding is covered. Thoughts?
I mean, I personally disagree with,
Yeah.
with that. I mean, I think that it makes a ton of sense to support free breakfast and lunch, as some of our neighboring states have done.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's going to get any traction in New Hampshire, don't know. But I do agree with the sentiment behind it, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Other thoughts?
I agree that we should provide free food for the students, but there's so many catches on that. It puts us in a tough spot, which you know, goes back to the free and reduced meals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like our hands are tied.
Yeah. I agree with the resolution. I disagree with their recommendation because I don't think any of their current resolutions have anything to do with food.
well, that's what I wrote. Does any of these, are they any of them related to meals?
Meals?
Yeah, some of them are related to funding, but they're
that's
not
right.
related to meals.
No, I think that this is about meals, not funding.
Yeah.
You know, this is find a venue avenue to fund it, but this is about the meals.
But that is a good question about are you going to shoot yourself in the foot with the other programs?
Right.
You know?
Oh, you mean the federal government would take money away from other programs?
Yes.
Yeah, that's always a possibility.
Although it's happened in other states.
Yeah.
Right.
So have they done that? Do we know?
I think it's new this year
In Vermont.
because it had been covered under the federal grants
They just put it into their
during
state
the
budget.
pandemic. Yeah, they put it into the state budget. So I think the jury's still out on that, on how that will play out.
I'm very
Let's
interested to
watch
see.
how it works.
Yeah, like childhood poverty, or not, childhood hunger rates in Vermont next year.
Well, I can ask the question, are any of them related to meals?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Great.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, great.
I mean, yeah.
And if, I do think that if, maybe it behooves us to wait to get the free meals until you know about the funding issue,
Yeah,
you know.
so, all right. You have a good sense then?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
All right.
a tricky one.
It is a tricky
Yeah.
one, but I mean, you know, we support kids getting food.
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
think it worked well, didn't it?
It was great, except for the other funding mechanisms that are tied to our free and reduced lunch.
Yes.
Right.
And that hopefully, if you do it at a federal level, it would unlock that, it would break that connection, because you wouldn't have to do a free and reduced.
Or, right.
There multiple things need to change, right?
Yes.
Right,
You're
that's
no
not
longer
just
qualifying kids for free and reduced
Right.
meals,
Right.
and other formulas that determine grant allocations need to
It
also
could have a
change.
domino effect.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
This is just a one piece, it's not an end-all solution, it's just one piece, I guess.
But we do all agree meals should be free for kids.
Yes.
Next one's by Chester Academy, SAU 82. NHSBA should oppose any subsequent legislation that would modify an adequate education for the school approval standards set forth in rules adopted by the Department of Ed by removing any of the following subject areas. And then they list out 11 subject areas that I'm not going to list. Their rationale was because there was a bill last year that would have removed art, health, physical education, engineering, computer science, digital literacy, and world languages from the core academic domain. So there's that, and you can continue there. NHSBA directors do support this with alternative language. They tweaked it a little bit, basically saying we approve supports public school approval standards that encompass holistic and comprehensive academic subject areas, including yada, 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 all there. Thoughts on that one? I like the alternative language they came up with. I mean, it just kind of consolidates it and makes it nice and neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts?
This is an area where it's including but not limited to, because this is limiting. These are minimum standards.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where does it say including but not? Oh, it should
I
say.
added that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you can certainly make an amendment when
But
you're there.
Is that appropriate?
Yeah, absolutely. You can write down on scrap paper or a piece of paper, I have an amendment, and then you get someone to, second it, which somebody will do for discussion purposes, and then you get up and you talk about it and you try to convince the
So
rest
that
of them to
would
amend it.
allow a district to make different minimum standards? Is that by saying not limited to?
No, you'd have it would have to include that, but that's not the only thing you would have to, like, you can go beyond the list. That's what I read that as, right?
But you can anyways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
it's, yes.
Okay. All right. And that's the one that we were just talking about, Educational Rule 306.
Yes.
That's where this came from. So that's why they're doing the listening sessions, because they want to find out. Next one is also from Chester Academy, talking about the retirement system. It goes into some great detail, talking about the state giving a bigger boost to the retirement system and going back to what they had been giving. Board of Directors does not support because they already have 2 current existing resolutions on this matter, opposing change in statute that decreases the state share of local employer retirement costs. And then we did another one in 2011, opposes legislation that would directly or indirectly divert state costs or responsibilities to local school districts, which would include a reduction in what the state put into the retirement accounts for teachers. So like when teachers go in and they do the retirements, right now the district is paying like 80% of that? Or so, I don't know what it is, but
Off
the
the
state,
top of my head,
I don't know, but the amount that the state's paid has gone down each year, so that's where that's
That is
from.
correct.
That I can say with conviction. And then the last one we did in 2019, supporting the continuing existence of the retirement system. It should be strong, secure, solid, and financially stable. And then supporting legislation on return state contributions. So I kind of agree. I agree with both. I agree with the frustration of the Chester Academy, but I also agree with the School Board Association personally that I think they've already covered it, but I don't know. Maybe discussion will prove otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. And even looking at the Chester Academy rationale, it talks about the intent of this being a result in a one-time reduction, and I'd really like to see something more sustainable. If there's going to be advocacy efforts.
Oh, for a sustained reduction in local property taxes, yeah. And that's the thing, like, this resolution may change into something a little bit different and only talk about that, Like, you can put an amendment and say, I think there should just be in sustained reduction in local property taxes. That might be a good one, so. Any other thoughts on that one? All right. Then the last one, this one is, is this the last one? No, sorry. Number 7, this one's from Dresden School Board over in Hanover. This is the one that's talking about gun laws and gun safety. Talking about legislation in New Hampshire prohibits schools and towns in New Hampshire from enforcing any federal statute, regulation, or presidential executive order that restricts or regulates the right of people to keep and bear arms. So the School Board Association says do not support, because they say this current existing resolution addresses this topic already, and so that's that one. Thoughts on that? I think, again, I agree with the, spirit of their proposal, the proposed resolution, but I think that, the Board of Directors, the existing resolution covers, kind of gets the same spirit, but maybe not.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm, the way, and it doesn't talk about it in here, but I was reading something else. This is when it gets scary, because I'm like, where the heck did I read it? But there, so that basically, the rub, I think this is basically the law that was passed in the state that said no federal rule will supersede a state rule about firearms. But there is a New Hampshire rule that says you can't have firearms in a school. It's the Safe Schools Act or something?
That's a federal.
That's the federal.
That's federal.
That's where this is
Okay,
coming
so this
from.
is where I'm getting a little confused.
This is what this is referring to, because that's a federal law, and so according to state law now, it says you cannot. The state police could not enforce that federal law.
But isn't there a state law that says that?
No.
Not New Hampshire.
Not New Hampshire.
Okay, see, that's where I got it backwards in my head. I thought that was like, fine, yeah, we can do this as long as there's a state law that says you can't have guns in the school.
Mhm.
I think in Vermont there might be, and I think that's where the Dresden district is in particular pickle.
Yeah.
Because they have Vermont students and New Hampshire students.
Yeah.
But some of the schools, with the exception of Norwich Elementary, all the schools are on the New Hampshire side of this.
Well, the same thing happens up in Bradford.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Right,
Hartford.
for Rivendell,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rivendell.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky.
Yep. I get it.
Well, so their resolution talks more about planning though. And further supports legislation of the state and local level that protects students and school districts from on-campus violence. That's, I don't know.
The only action sentence in this whole thing, we, the resident and Hanover school boards, call upon the NHSBA to advocate for legislative action that ensures local school boards comply with federal firearm laws and policies.
Right. And that's what they're.
That is the crux, that is
That's
the
what
argument
they're
that
after.
they're making. So that is the action sentence.
Which is the Safe Schools Act.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay, and which I thought was New Hampshire's. So, okay.
Thoughts on that? See, if that is the only meat of the entire thing, I kind of agree with it. I think, there's nothing wrong with calling the School Board Association to advocate for legislative action to ensure local school boards comply with federal firearm laws and policies. But that's what we're here to decide.
So I'm sorry, you agree with whom?
If that's the meat of if that's their, action sentence,
I think that is.
yeah, then I agree with that personally, but.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, I think it's ironic that the federal government, when you think of the VA has their own campus police, which are federal employees. That's why there's a fence around the VA and the Naval Center and all that. They can't enforce anything outside of that perimeter. But the federal government wants it both ways. They can make a law and enforce it on individual school districts and individual states. And I don't see where they can legally have it both ways.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying.
I see where it can get challenged.
Yeah, totally.
So it's, I wouldn't support the resolution for that reason. It's a legality here.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why the federal government has these rules and regulations like there's signs everywhere, you can't bring any weapons into a federal building, even though it's on state property.
Yeah, yeah.
So, why are the schools different? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you can always see how the debate goes.
Yeah.
We
It'll
can,
be an interesting
yeah, we can
one.
empower you to.
I think that you will see drastic changes to 1178, which is the bill that allows for open carry on school grounds. I think there's no other way around it.
Yeah.
So, I understand none of us want open carry weapons of any type, right? In schools. None of us do.
No.
Is this a place for the School Board Association to take that stand? I'm not sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, I don't think they are.
So I guess you know where I fall.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, that's fine, either ways.
No, I'm waiting.
Oh.
I'm just waiting.
Yeah,
Okay. Good.
All done with this?
With this one? We got one more resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, we got, one more. And then, let's see, this last one is also from Dresden, participation in national level school board organizations. This has a result of NHSBA and several other school board associations withdrawing from the National School Board Association. And they are like to ask that they go back and rejoin or put it on a simple majority approval of membership at a duly warned meeting. They don't support this, basically saying this sounds like it is there's other avenues for them to do. They've joined a different organization now. You know, so that's, you can read their rationale there. Yeah.
I do not have a very strong
I know.
feeling about this,
I
so
don't either.
leave it up to the
Well, I
discussion.
think, yeah, I think the New Hampshire School Board Association needs to review issues case by case. And that was the reason for withdrawing in the first place, because of the certain issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would support it is, as it is.
Yeah.
You know,
As it go with their recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, not support,
yeah.
All right. Anything else on that one? Okay, you feel better about this, Hope?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's good. Yeah, no, that pretty much went what
Good.
I'm like, so that's
So
good.
many years I did this, and we never did this part, and I showed up, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
hope I know what they
No,
all want.
right before this went on.
Yes, Brewster, did you have something else?
Yeah, she's not, I don't know her name, I have to look at her name because I so it's almost 7 o'clock, and usually she's on the agenda. I know it's her first meeting, but I don't want her to get bored to death
Yeah.
on this whole thing. And usually the student rep gets on the agenda like a new business early.
Yes.
So if you want, if the chairman and everybody else agrees, I would like to let you go because you probably have something else you need to do tonight, and I don't want to bore you to death. Well, I'm not saying too much, but I'm glad you.
No, that's,
I'm glad you're on the board. I'm glad you're a student rep. I want to be the first to thank you for, well, as far as everything else goes, because it's, and hopefully you come back and let us know what you want. Let the student reps tell us, you know, what's going on in the school, you know? We had one that stayed on for almost like 3 years, I think. And so she came back and she had you don't have to have a written report, you can come back and just go over everything that goes on with the kids. But I'd like to have you be able to get out of here by 7 o'clock, and you've been here for an hour, and I don't want you to get bored to death.
yes, you can reliably figure that you won't be here past 7 unless you want to be. Like, feel free to stay and listen about, bidding for oil and wood pellets.
Yeah. So I want to be the first to try to thank you for, coming on.
Yeah.
And come back and tell us what's going on in the high school. Don't be afraid, because we don't bite. I sometimes do, but whatever. But anyway.
And so, yeah, if you have any questions or whatever, contact Mrs. Bell. And, just so you guys got homecoming coming up this week? People excited?
Yeah, I think so.
right.
Not necessarily the junior class. They don't want a lot of involvement, it seems like. But seniors are excited.
Good,
So,
good. Hopefully next year you'll be the seniors that are excited. So.
yes, hopefully.
All right, cool. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for joining us. We'll see you in next time.
Yes.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thank
Sophia.
you.
Okay. So that was all the resolutions. Hope's good. Now we have the MS25 and DOE25 approval. Do you have those?
Yeah, I have the cover sheets that need signatures.
Okay.
Because then I have to upload it by Friday.
Okay.
So it's nearly complete. There's just one little two tweaks to make. I'm gonna have Deb Ford review it with me tomorrow. Just one last time before it gets uploaded to the DOE website.
Okay.
So we'll just do the cover sheets because I won't see you again before that happens.
Right.
So we'll do that.
Do we have a copy of it, or do we need to see it or anything?
No,
You have a
I don't
copy?
think I uploaded a copy.
So we need to sign it without seeing it?
I have a paper copy.
Perfect.
I didn't make a PDF yet.
Okay. The piece, you can just pass it around. I guess.
Pass it around. There
We're
we go.
doing our part for the paper shortage.
Exactly.
Anything jump out on it? Anything we should know about? All right, cool, yeah, that's that. All right, yep, so basically just signing off and saying that it's, oh, we're not, yeah, okay. Well, I'm not gonna pretend to look at it. If anyone like to look at them, by all means.
Do you need all of our signatures?
Yeah,
What's that?
we will need all of our
The
signatures.
signature sheets on there too.
So in short, for those who aren't familiar, the DOE 25 and the MS25, they are basically, what are they, basically?
It's our annual financial report to the state.
All right. Cool.
So I have a question regarding the town of Orange and overpayment. How was that handled when it was refunded? Has it been refunded to the town of Orange?
Yes, you've sent the refund.
Now it crossed 2 fiscal years though, right?
I don't believe so. I think it was prorated to June 30th, and we refunded the portion that was overpaid in that fiscal year.
Okay,
I'd have to-
I think I have conflicting information. I don't have that with me tonight, but
Neither do I, but I will definitely check on that.
Yeah, can you send the information you have, Kathleen, over to us?
Thank you.
Can you email me and I'll go check on that?
All right. All right. Anything else on those? No, let me go through every single.
Which one are you gonna go over first?
Hmm?
Which one are you gonna go over first?
Which one? The bids? Do them in order. Propane. Here, let's. Yeah. Okay, we need a motion for the MS25 and the DOE25 though. Wait a time. I'll make a motion we approve the MS25 and DOE25 as presented.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on that? It's pretty boilerplate standard stuff. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right.
Do we have to have a bid on this before, we have to have a motion on this?
You can certainly make a motion to, you don't have to make a motion on a certain one, but,
Well,
I
I got a question before we do a bid, before we do a motion, because
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
you want Irving, but the
Oh, yeah.
Irving price is not sitting there.
That's I was just going to explain.
That's why I asked.
Right, yeah, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I just left in last year's recommendation accidentally and didn't edit it out. I was waiting for a bid from Irving. Usually Irving gets both the oil and the propane together, and it's kind of one-stop shopping.
Yeah.
But for some reason I didn't hear back from Tara today, so I can reach out to her tomorrow. If that would be okay. I've also compared our prior year usage has gone up since for the our usual typical bid amount, and the budget, it affects the budget quite a bit. Because as we all know, energy costs have skyrocketed, so.
So that was not in the electronic packet that I downloaded this afternoon.
No, it was not.
No. So if you have a copy of that, I can just be this one.
No, I've got.
Oh.
All right.
I'll see the oil bid. You get an oil bid too?
Yep.
Where?
Do that. Turn them over.
Aha!
There we go.
Saving that paper.
Trying.
Double sided.
Oh, the other side?
All right, so we're starting with propane. So basically, do we only get the one bid?
We only got the one bid so far.
There you go.
From where?
Dead
Red
River.
Company?
Is that who we've had before? No, we've gone instead of
We've
Irving.
gone with Irving.
All right.
In fact, Dead River didn't bid last year.
Okay.
So,
Wonder why Irving didn't.
so you haven't heard from Irving?
No, not yet.
Shouldn't we table
I
this?
would like to, I would like to make a motion to table this
Okay.
Okay.
Table the propane?
propane one.
Okay.
Because I want to hear from Irving.
Yeah.
You have a second? Any other people that
Are
say?
you gonna have to I'll send it,
All those in favor of tabling propane for next meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstention. All right. We'll table propane.
Am I just picking a second?
Who said?
Beautiful Kathleen.
Take your choice.
Yeah.
Oil. Now, when Irving submitted their bid for oil and propane together, that was tied together though, right? Was that like a package price, or is that just two totally separate bids?
I put out 2 totally separate bids.
Okay, okay.
And they just returned one.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't like in years past, it wasn't like, this is your deal for the two together?
No.
Okay, all right, so we can continue with this one then, all right. So this one we got bids from, looks like Dead River and Irving Energy, and they're pretty neck and neck.
Yep, Irving is just a tiny bit cheaper, but then again, we've always gone with propane with them as well, so I don't know if we wanted to.
Make a motion, we go with
Stop
Irving
shopping.
because of, well, I get discussion on it, but I make a motion to go with Irving.
Okay.
Because of the price.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Kathleen with a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, they budgeted 30,000, X, whatever it is, and I haven't figured that out. So the shortage will come somewhere, right? You'll be able to find the money for that.
Yeah, and our prior year was much less than our bid.
Yeah,
So
and the other thing is,
wiggle room there.
the reason being is Irving's got text all over the place.
Yeah.
And so they're good at being here within
Good service.
any kind of, yeah, well, yeah.
Hopefully they can match Dead River.
What's that?
I said hopefully they'll match Dead River for propane.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, you
our
can
bid
come back
runs
and-
out tomorrow for Dead River, and if we don't go for them with oil, you have to wonder what the counteract is going to be.
That's a
I
good
can't,
point.
Right.
I don't know, I can't hear what you said.
Uh,
Sorry.
See what they come back with on propane, if they can match whatever Dead River did for propane, or beat.
I would stay with Irving because Irving and oil,
That's what we're talking
both accounts, they have both accounts.
Yeah,
They sometimes even come in lower than
yeah.
what they would be anyway.
Yeah, we'd like them to, that's what we're basically saying, we'd like them to come
Yeah.
in
Yes.
I
and
mean,
bid.
they
And
know,
Irving was the lowest for both.
they know
Yeah.
what's budgeted,
Yeah.
and they haven't figured.
I'm thinking that there's an oversight on their part somehow, because they always bid every year, so. Yeah, to be only off by, what, $1,800, that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good, so. All right, we have a motion, any further discussion?
We don't use that much oil.
Just to get it warmed up on Mondays, right?
That's the thing, so.
All right, any further discussion on that one? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion to approve the contract for fuel oil for Irving Energy as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right. And pellet bids.
Make a motion, you accept lime green heat, that's the one we've been carrying all along, right?
Yeah. Okay,
For that amount, but and also, a discussion,
all right.
minus.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, then. All right. Go ahead and speak.
So you're minus $3,018 because we're budgeted for 30,000, correct? I mean, excuse me,
Mhm.
whatever it is, 95,382.
Mm-hmm.
So we find money somewhere to offset that, correct?
Yes.
Usually,
And the last year's usage was also less than the bid amount as well, so we'll probably will come in under budget.
and that's because, you don't usually get, you might not even use that many tons,
Exactly.
so.
Yeah, 400 tons of pellets, that's a lot of
What we
pellets.
used last year,
318?
318, so you should be able to come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's some under.
Down a debris in March.
And also Lime Green also services our boilers as well.
Yes,
So
that's
we need
huge
to
too.
have them.
That's very huge too. And yeah, and they're neighbors. Cool. Any other discussion on that? Because yeah, pellets did go up in price. I know I just said like pellets are cheap, but that's still pretty close per ton to what they have been. So, all right. Any further discussion on that one? All those in favor of awarding contract for pellets for 400 tons of pellets to Lime Green Heat as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed and abstentions. Thank you. Thank you for brought that. All right. So policy IHBB we sent away, so that's table that. That's not a second reading on here, so that's fine. We have the other two policies for second readings, IJOC and GBCD.
I make a motion that we approve policy IJOC and GBCD for second reading.
All right.
Second.
Danielle, seconds.
There were just some editorial things, no major changes.
It was just like, yeah, the grammatical.
There's an underline and a blank in there somewhere.
Yeah. These are largely from NHSBA because they're deal with a lot of legal stuff. So I tend to want to refer to the lawyers on that. Yeah. Any further discussions on that? Okay. All those in favor of approving policy IJOC and GBCD for second reading and adoption as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right, there we go. And agenda items for next meeting. Committee reports, October 1st enrollments, two policies, the SB2 timeline for 2023. So what dates we need to have stuff in by, and what dates we have to warn a meeting by, and this, that, and the other.
We'll add our student rep.
Oh, yeah. Yay. Student rep report. Hopefully hear how homecoming was. I know they're all excited, so that's pretty cool.
Do we have any updates on the information about the solar panels?
Oh, yeah. We have not.
At the next financing facilities, because I just learned that Standard Power, oh, here's another little energy tidbit. So our standard Power farms out prices for our electricity, and we're currently with Constellation, and we signed a 2-year agreement, and we just finished our first year at 11.74 cents a kilowatt. And in November, the actual price for our second year will go down to 9.12 cents.
Wow.
He says currently some organizations are signing on with 15 cents per kilowatt hour. So that helps us out as the rest of our budget, and the first half of next year's budget for electricity will be lower than what we're paying now. And so maybe the second half of next year's budget will see a small increase, but it should sort of cancel each other out.
Okay.
So, and I also when I talked to him, he said he also does consulting work. Their firm does consulting work for solar as well. And just consulting. They are not a vendor, they don't own them, they don't build them. So it'd be great to have him come and maybe talk about a few like important points to consider when we think about doing solar down the road.
Yeah.
The presentation happens as part of finance and facilities, and then you guys can just report back out.
Yep. Yeah.
Something we can do.
That's what we've been discussing for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Let's
Or
get it.
longer than that.
I think longer than that.
Okay.
Well, I'll just shorten it up. All right. The other question I have is, because I haven't been here, is who have you put on with finance facility with Hope and I?
I am on there as well.
All right.
And then Kathleen is an alternate, so if one of us can't make it, Kathleen will do it. So. Yeah.
Tim, I'd like to go back to IHBB.
Oh.
This did in fact go to EIC.
Yep.
And we did make some changes, so the
Oh, yeah.
version that you have here is, Martha was great, she got it already
Oh.
ready. So
Oh.
this is the new version that you all, we had talked about, I just don't want to
I'm
look
sorry.
at it, that's okay.
I didn't know that.
Martha is that competent.
I guess so.
She
This
is.
is the first reading for this, in essence.
Yeah.
So, but
First reading
I,
to the full board.
Right.
So
Yes.
the big change was the first paragraph, or
Mhm.
the last line, where a student demonstrating unique and academic, artistic, or athletic potential.
Mhm. Yeah.
and then we took out a sentence that said beginning in 22-23.
Yep.
In the last sentence.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion for first read for IHBB.
I'll move it.
All right. Kathleen with that.
Second.
And Daniel with a second. Any further discussion on this one? It really is very vague, which on purpose, because it is kind of a vagary. It is kind of it's just saying like we will do what we can, and the district will actively assist and support professional development in how to get things for kids that are demonstrating unique academic, artistic, or athletic potential. So Any further discussion on that?
So the RSA that is, the state is called Identification and Combination of Gifted and Talented Students.
Mm-hmm.
So that is still the term du jour?
That is still the term
That's
du
the
jour.
term they put in the law, so.
Yeah.
That's what the
What-
laws,
whether
not
it's
been
de
amended
jure or
yet.
not.
Probably will get changed. Don't worry, you'll probably see this policy again in 6 months.
Yeah, I would call it for purpose for accelerated and accelerated learning or something, but,
That's why we use the word demonstrating, because it says shall mean a student demonstrating.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, just because you think they're gifted and talented.
Okay.
means they
All right, so it's still,
Yeah.
still
They have to
aligned
show.
with the state.
It's aligned with the RSA.
Right,
Got
you
it.
can't just be
And we're
like,
still calling it that, okay.
this is my 5-year-old, he's an art prodigy.
Okay.
I'll bring him in and
Okay.
let's see it. And, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion on that one? All right, all those in favor of approving first reading IHBB signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions. All right, thank you for that correction and update.
I'm sorry, yes,
No, no,
I
that's-
appreciate that.
Martha is really good.
We have like 40 more policies that we got this fall, so.
All right.
We've got to
Thank you
keep
for that.
chipping
I
away.
love policies.
I also, I'm so sorry to go back,
Mm.
for the propane bibs, are we gonna have any issues because the Dead River bib says it expired 28th?
So we would have to get a new fresh bid from them.
New fresh.
We'll have to look at new fresh bids anyway, because
Oh,
we can't
right.
open a
We
bid.
can't open it back up.
We made this public knowledge
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
so
Right.
we're gonna have to go back out to a bunch
Fresh
of bids.
opening
for
bid
propane.
process. But it's not like we're out of propane right now. And like
Okay.
we're waiting for someone to Otherwise we'll see Rob runs down to Cannon Hardware. All right, anything else for next meeting? 'Cause that's what we were talking about when we realized our mistake there. I think that sounds like plenty.
And we'll have some policies, don't worry. Yep,
Yeah.
they're in there. No, don't worry.
And some committee reports as well. So, and then after this meeting, we need to have another quick non-meeting. I can fill you in on some current negotiation stuff. So we'll do that, so stick around after non-public for that. All right, public comment. Any other public want to comment? All right. Thank you. All right. Personnel, resignations and nominations. We have one here in front of us. We can,
Make a motion that we accept the resignation as presented.
I'll second.
okay. Any discussion?
Well, I guess you don't have to have a reason why they're
No,
leaving,
I
right?
guess not.
I know, but Mr. Jones has been very open in explaining that, due to family circumstances, he does need to leave and move out of state.
Oh,
So this is this is not something that he took lightly. He did give us as much notice as he could.
mhm.
So we will be looking, hopefully have a candidate for you all at the next meeting.
Okay.
Can you look into getting a health teacher who could also be / like a trainer?
Athletic trainer, that would be ideal.
I mean, other schools have got / health teacher, athletic trainer,
Sure.
which would save you trying to hire out a trainer from the ambulance service all the time.
Yeah, agreed.
And they would be here part of the time during the day. They have them in Hanover.
Yeah,
See if they got, because they'll be qualified.
yeah. And having them here during the day, they can help any kid with.
Well, they come in the afternoon,
Yeah.
because when the kids get
Yeah,
ready to go to
sports,
sports,
yeah.
they don't have to be here all day.
No.
But they got a help teacher that's teaching here, and that's another added thing, because you look at how much money you're spending on your EMS people coming in to do all these things. And,
Mhm.
I mean, you have to bring in extra people because more events going on, but I think, try to see if you can get a help teacher that would go for that.
Sure. I love that.
Just have career track,
Okay.
health teacher / trainer, and then
I
we
can
can
find
grow
one,
our
the
own.
other, all together, separate. I'll take whatever I can get, like at this
Wow,
point.
they get that.
Yeah, they could run the bus, that'd be good.
No, don't put them on the bus. No.
Well, we'll put some people on buses.
Residency programs at Dartmouth,
Oh, yeah, we're from the state.
that doesn't work. You tried it.
The hospitals used to have people.
Yeah.
Used to have people at the,
Contracted services.
they used to be in the orthopedic group, used to be
Mhm.
the ones that were coming here, that were doing that.
Yeah, There's a
think-
tight.
No, I mean in general. I don't necessarily mean for the athletic trainer portion.
Oh.
I mean as the health teachers. You
It's
know,
really tough to try, I mean, they're pretty.
it's not,
big.
I know that some, I was just throwing it out there, so you've never heard of that.
Yeah, could your daughter come back?
Yeah.
She did a pretty good job for us, so we would gladly take her back.
There you go.
I do think that we will probably be looking at the cost of a full-time athletic trainer to the district. I don't think at this point there's any way around it.
Mhm.
And then they can do this.
We're talking a health teacher and then in the next budget, looking at a full-time athletic
Oh,
trainer.
so separate.
Separate.
Hanover's got that.
Yeah.
Hanover's
Yeah, there's
got
lots of schools.
Not just them.
that. Some of the schools have got that.
Yeah.
Go to places like fish shaking, they're right there.
Yeah.
They're
It'd be
there.
good for kids.
Yeah, it keep them off the sidelines of being injured. It really
Do
does.
some preventative work.
Just 'cause they
Daniel's
did
talked
stretch,
about
right?
that.
Yeah.
You can put that in that budget this year?
Try to put whatever I want in.
Whether it goes through.
I got that on my marker there.
Alright. Okay, so I'll call the question here. All those in favor of accepting the resignation as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Alright, so we do have non-public, it seems. Yes,
Correct.
Alrighty.
For purposes of hiring, and I would say reputation.
and reputation. Alright, I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public. Alright, Danielle, and second?
Second.
Kathleen? All those in favor? Oh, no, in favor. Alright, Krister,
Yes.
Danielle,
Yes.
Tim, yes, Kathleen?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Candace?
Education.
All right, we are in non-public for matters of hiring and reputation.
Did you put down who's in the, put down who's in the council?